Welcome to Croch80hd. I'm your host, Jackie. If this is your first time viewing my channel, welcome. You're a one-hit wonder. I'm glad you're here. If you are a repeat offender, a member of the GlamFam, I pity the fool that don't watch my episode. I practiced that like 3 times in my head, and I still said it differently. But today is a Chit-Chat cafe. We chit, we chat, and we crochet. What I will be working on during the Chit-Chat cafe is I am making a swatch. Cover your ears, Lynn, because I know that you hate the S word, but I am swatching for a project that I can't tell you about, but I'm at least doing my due diligence by making a swatch. And the pattern uses worsted weight yarn, and I have some, well, I'm playing Yarn Corps because this is a swatch from a different project, but I'm, pulling from this to make my new swatch. This is 100% acrylic. It is the Craft Smart brand from Michaels. That it's been in my stash for probably 2 years. It's the color Mushroom, and I absolutely love this color. And for a 100% acrylic, bottom of the barrel-ish as far as price range, I think it's the cheapest yarn that Michaels carries. I love working with this yarn. I love the feel of it. I have used several colors in the Craft Smart line. The darker colors I don't enjoy as much, but I think again it has something to do with the yarn texture with the color, the dye put on it or something that kind of changes the feel. But I love how this feels. So this is what I'm going to be working on while we're chatting. I want to talk about something called decision paralysis. This is something very common amongst people with ADHD and other neurodiverse conditions, and it is very frustrating. Normally, for me, it appears as it pertains to my crafting life. It appears whenever I'm trying to choose a pattern because, so much yarn, so many patterns, so many, I don't know, like options for a pattern. Like, you say, okay, I'm going to make a top, but then, what kind of top? Long sleeve, short sleeve? Am I going to crochet it as it's written, or am I going to change things? What am I going to change? And so, all of those things. And I end up in, it's decision paralysis. And I'll put like the official definition here, but essentially it is when there's so many options that you can't choose anything. I mean, I think that's sort of the layman's definition of it. What it can look like on the outside is this. Or maybe this. The reason I'm bringing this up is because once I finished my sweater, I was ready to move on to my next project. And y'all remember this. And your girl's got a Caravan to Rhinebeck sweater to make. Oh yes. Oh yes. So much yes. Y'all, I want so badly to make something out of this gorgeous, gorgeous yarn. And I was certain that I was going to be able to make a sweater or some sort of wearable. But when I looked at the yardage and then I looked at patterns available, the only one, I'm not going to say the only one because I know I didn't search every single one. I came pert near close. it looked like the only wearable that I would be able to make is the sagebrush tank. Now, I love that pattern, right? And I want one in every color. But I don't know if I would want the tank to be made out of 100% merino wool. And when I looked at the project pages on Ravelry, a few people had hacked it to be a sweater vest. And I thought, okay, that's what I'll do. Is that what I'm doing? No. Because reasons. If I were to make the sagebrush tank and try to hack it into a vest, which makes perfect sense for the season that we're going into, plus I could use it as my vest project for Marquita's Vestember make-along. I don't remember the total yardage necessary, but because I have a fade of colors, you know, it's the purples into the purples. What does it say? It is called, how is it worded? It's not, it's on the website, but it, you know, it just goes from one purple into another purple. And I would show them to you, but when I took them out of the big pack, I put them into individual bags and I numbered them so that I kept the array in the right order. See, that's ADHD for you, baby. Because it's a fade, whatever you want to call it, balayage, I don't know. The sweat and the tank is made side to side. So I would have a fade that went side to side, which I guess wouldn't be so bad. But if I don't have enough yarn with all of the minis and I get almost to the end, the only thing I have to use there is the variegated, and I don't know how that would look. But because I can't get my mind to round and round and round and round, and right now, as of right now, I think I'm making it into a shawl, and it's a shawl pattern that I've tried to make 3 times before, I think. I even tried it for the sha-la-la-la. Why am I thinking that this yarn is going to make that pattern work any better? I don't know, but that's where I'm at because I just got tired of. So that is my usual crafting decision paralysis situation. The other thing, the bigger issue currently right now is fiber festivals. Now there are 4 fiber festivals that are happening around me between September and November. Now my husband, gotta love Mr. Croch80hd, he told me that I could go, and it's an anniversary gift because there's nothing that is incredibly close. So I have to, so these were my options, okay? Drive 4 hours to a very big city and get a hotel for a couple of days because I think the festival is like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But the hotel rooms were very expensive, and, you know, just between you and me, I ain't got that kind of money. Just being completely honest there. So that's one option, and it is the second weekend in September. That was the first fiber festival in my area that I had found out about, and I was excited about it. Then I found out about one that is in Mississippi. So I've got right now one in Texas, one in Mississippi. The one in Mississippi is 3 hours away, a smaller city, and it's closer. I mean, it's closer, smaller, and the hotel situation is much more affordable. Option number 3, there's one that is down south of me. I think it's about 2 hours south of me. And it's only one day, I think. So that's not such a big deal. So I've kind of just put a pin in that as one not to consider with this. And the 4th one is in November, and it's 3.5 hours away in Texas. So far we've got it's the DFW Fiber Festival, whatever, in Dallas. Huge city. I hate driving in Dallas. Huge city. Very expensive city. Okay. That is the 2nd weekend in September. The second option is the one that's in Mississippi. It is the one that is closer to me. It's less expensive. It is a smaller festival. And the third option is in November, and it's just outside of Dallas, so it's 30 minutes closer to me on this side. But I don't know the pricing situation or anything like that because I just didn't do too much research on that. So I had been trying to decide which venue I wanted to go to for I don't know, 3 weeks. I finally removed DFW because the more I thought about it, the more I was just like, I'm going to be miserable getting there, and then I have to drive home too. So no. So then it was a toss up between Mississippi or the East Texas Fiber Festival that's in November. Pros and cons and pros and cons. And one thing that hadn't really truly occurred to me until the end of the decision-making process was it's my first Fiber Festival, and I suffer from anxiety, plus my other issues. So I'm like, but what helped me make the final decision was this. The East Texas Fiber Festival, they have one in November, but they also have one in the spring. So with that, plus again, with my first Fiber Festival being more affordable, a little closer to me in a smaller venue, that's probably best for me. So I am officially registered for the Fiber Fun in the SIP Fiber Festival. SIP like Mississippi. It is in Vicksburg, Mississippi. It is the 28th and 29th. Nope. It is the 29th and 30th of September. Yeah. And I am taking a class. Woo! This is so exciting. I am going to be taking a class called, what is it called? It is called Making Sweaters That Fit, or something along those lines. I'm going to learn how to do proper measurement and, just really getting into the brass tacks, if you will, of making a proper fitted sweater. And I love this because the patterns are for a certain design. I'll be able to, I'm hoping that with this class, it'll help me to be able to hack more patterns so that I can make them fit me, even if it's a matter of changing yarn or, any of the other things that we want to do to customize our tops. I came to that decision at probably 4 o'clock yesterday morning. That's what I do. Decision paralysis. It is, I'm pretty sure it's in that executive function category, and ADHDers do not do well at executive functioning at all. So in preparing for the class, I tell you what materials to bring.
Oh no.
That's great, because crocheters absolutely know what to bring with them when they're going out of town. So I'll be spending a couple of days finding the perfect materials to bring with me for the class. I'm going to go on a Friday because the festival is Friday and Saturday. Yes, Friday and Saturday. Friday will be my hanging out and meeting people and shopping day. That's what I'm planning to do. And then Saturday is the class. I've already reserved my room. I'm so excited. Y'all just, I know this is probably like the dumbest thing to just, hang on. That's what I meant to do. I'm supposed to, my row gauge is 13 half double crochets by 10 rows for a 4-inch, and well, 25 is bigger. If y'all have ever wondered about gauge swatching, let me tell you what I know off the top of my head without having to look it up, because certain things I can remember and certain things I can't. When they tell you a gauge swatch should be, or your gauge is measured like 13, like this, 13 stitches by however many rows, you always want to make the gauge swatch bigger than whatever they're measuring, because you know you have that room for error. It's like, you know, on a piece of paper, did you know, I don't know, fun fact, on a piece of paper, right, you've got this margin, and then you've got the margin on the other side, which is still, like, you know, the same margin, right? And then, you know, back in school, at least in Louisiana, yeah, in Louisiana, back in school, we had to put our name and the date, but it couldn't pass this faded margin, right? And then, you know, you start all of your stuff right here, and you write up until this margin to keep everything in the middle. Well, the end parts, so everything on the, what is this, to the right of the margin, or the left of the margin as you're looking at the page, that's where you would number your paper, right? Okay, but it didn't count. And the reason why they were added to papers in the first place is because back during times where infestation of mice were a thing, they put this in here because the mice would usually eat certain amounts of the page in the notebook. So this margin was like to protect whatever was happening in the middle. So when you make a gauge swatch, I realize that may not have been the easiest comparison, but y'all been here before, you know how this works. Okay, so if you think of your gauge swatch as this full piece of paper, and the margins, or the space outside of the margin, is your literal margin of error. So this part that's in between the margins is what you're using to actually calculate your stitch width and everything like that for your swatch. Because all of this, you know, when you first start a row, it's kind of sloppy. When you first, you know, when you do your chain stitch and then you start working your rows, the first row or two is a little so you don't count that either. So that's why you want to make sure it's big enough this way and this way to account for your edging of error. Back to our regularly scheduled program. So I'm working on this swatch. What was I going to say? So, okay, taking a class, and it's like as soon as I signed up for the class, I got this overwhelming sensation. And I have been watching a few videos of people who went to the Flock Festival that was in Seattle a couple of weeks ago. And I found one of a lady, she went to one in Georgia. This is actually, it was from last year, but it was her first festival. And I was watching her, and she said, you know, when I looked at the calendar and I realized, because, you know, she was kind of showing her getting ready to go and everything, she said she started to cry because of how excited she was to get to be able to do something like this. And you know, I'm like, wow, I don't know if I'll cry, but it's exciting when you know, especially if you learn to crochet or knit during the pandemic, and or you don't have any in real life friends that you get together with and stitch, whether, you know, that's at a local stitch group or, you know, or an informal get together or whatever, it's nice that you'll be able to be around other people. And, you know, I registered for the class, and then I went and reread the information about the event. I'd already read it like 2 or 3 times, but I reread it, and I was getting excited because I was like, oh, they're going to have this, and they're going to have dancing, and they're going to have music, and they're going to have like areas to where you can just sit and stitch. And here's what I am hoping among hoping. One, yes, there will be footage, vlog style footage that I will do the best I can. That it's going to be a challenge, and I know that, you know, with other fiber-minded people it won't be such a big deal, but I'm going to try to record some things, you know, but I don't want to do so much recording that I am missing out on what is happening, you know, in the now. But when I was thinking about it, and I was, you know, again watching this lady, and she's filming different booths and stuff, and I was like, and that was a small festival that she went to. I don't, it was in Georgia. I don't remember the name of it. But I was like, okay, so small festival doesn't mean bad festival. That sounds like it's just perfect for me. During the pandemic, I developed panic disorder. So large groups really, I used to love large groups. I used to vend at, you know, huge outdoor events when, you know, and it never bothered me. But, you know, once the pandemic hit, it just changed for me. Now I'm getting better about it. And, you know, I have been in crowds of people for extended periods of time this year, and I'm okay. I feel like I made the right decision for myself, and I'm hoping that this tiptoe into the Fiber Arts Festival attendancing, that ain't right, attending, whatever, that it'll be the first of many. And the one I had mentioned to you that's down south, it's in Baton Rouge. I think it's just one day, and the person that is the host of that event, I think it's called, what is it called? It's like, I can see the logo. There's an alligator. Baton Rouge Fiber Arts. I can't think of what it is, but I'm pretty sure it's the only one that's in my state. So I will be able to do that. That is a day trip kind of attendance thing, and so I think I'm gonna go to that one just because, you know, it'll be close. So I'm looking forward to that. And oh, the host of it is the yarn dyer, Fleur de Stitched, the one that made all of the yarns that I opened, you know, when I did my surprise minis thing. So I'm looking forward to the opportunity to meet her. And if I think about it in one way or another, maybe I will make my Louisiana shawl and be able to wear it and show it to her when I meet her. That sounds quite cool. I'm hoping that the weather is agreeable, because I would love to be able to wear my sweater to the Fiber Fun in the Sip event. Mississippi gets about as hot as Louisiana, so I'll be able to easily gauge the weather, you know, by then. What did we learn? Decision paralysis is very real. It's very painful. I can understand how it can be frustrating for people on the outside, because I know how frustrating it is for the people on the inside. It looks different in many different people. Sometimes decision paralysis can keep you from eating, believe it or not, because you can know that you have a house full of food, but deciding what to make can cause you to do nothing. Thinking about how to fix food can cause you to do nothing. So if anybody in your life experiences decision paralysis, know that it is not lazy. It is not procrastination. That's a horse of a different color. It's real. It hurts. But boy, oh boy, once a decision is made. So I'm going to my first Fiber Festival next month. I'm so excited. I can't wait. I can't wait to tell y'all all about it. And I hope that you're hearing my excitement as genuine excitement, not a ha, look what I get to do. Because believe me, I'm not rich. I'm not a little rich. I'm not kind of rich. I don't know why I'm saying all that. What am I trying to say? I'm really hoping that I will be able to share it with you and that y'all enjoy what I get to share. And if you get an opportunity to go to a fiber festival near you, that it's, you know, an affordable thing, that you're not having to rob Peter to pay Paul kind of a situation. I mean, sure, I would love to go to Rhinebeck at some point, but it's like exciting, but really, really scary to me. So I'm not at Rhinebeck levels quite yet. I could probably do DFW at some point. It would be nice to be able to go to a festival that had sweater weather. That would be nice. Maybe Arkansas, but see, no, Arkansas, they have their festival in like the summer. So no. So yeah, there's a place that's relatively close in the fall where they truly have fall weather. That might be like that would be my Rhinebeck. Does that make sense? You know, now that there's the flock thing that they're going to be doing on the West Coast every year, that's like the West Coast's version of Rhinebeck, which really shouldn't be called that. It should just be called flock because, you know, it is its own entity. So it's like the big festival on the West Coast because Rhinebeck is the big festival on the East Coast. Now, if there was a big festival in the South, which maybe that is what DFW FIBERFEST is, that would be cool. And then one day I will maybe get together with some people other people who will drive, and we can go to Dallas. That'd be fine. Okay, let's see. How far did I get today? That's not bad. How big is this? It's what I had closest. Woo! Okay. My swatch is 8 inches long. Another thing about swatch. Oftentimes, most of the time, when you are trying to swatch, almost everybody can get stitch gauge. Row gauge, not so much. But if the pattern that you're working from has a schematic and it tells you that, you know, the, what's the word I'm looking for? The yoke. That the yoke needs to be X number of inches. Then as long as the stitch gauge is right, then you can just crochet or knit the number of stitches, the number of rows needed to make whatever the dimensions are. Is that the right word I'm looking for? You know, if it's supposed to be like 10 inches of yoke, then you don't have to worry about if your row gauge is right because you just need to know to stitch or crochet. You just need to know to crochet or knit 10 inches and you're good as long as your stitch gauge is right. And the same with the torso and the sleeves, etc., etc. If you can get stitch and row gauge, you're like sweet, like totally. But I don't worry about row gauge as much as I worry about stitch gauge. I will have editing Jackie put my final measurement of my swatch on the screen here just so that you know whatever happened. So that's all for today's Chit Chat Cafe. I hope that it was informative just to understand decision paralysis, because it's another neurodivergent symptom or feature. I like feature. If you like this video, please like this video, share, comment below. Let's see what we can do. Tell me about any festivals that you have ever gone to or that you're planning to go to. And like, what was that experience like for you? I'm hoping that there won't be stitch shame at this festival. I think that's the one thing I'm kind of curious about. And given the fact that there are a couple of crochet classes being taught at this festival, I feel like that's, you know, that's kind of a good sign. I don't know how many people have signed up for anything. I do know that the sweater fitting class is now full. It's being taught for knit and crochet patterns. So, you know, it could be 9 knitters and me, which would not surprise me in the least, because in a world full of Crayolas, I am Rose Art. It happens all the time. There's the box, and if you look way over there, there's me. Always, always, always. No, wait. No, let's see. Okay, if you want to stick around and become a member of the GlamFam to indulge in my crochet 1980s ADHD loving self, you can do so by clicking that subscribe button. Until next time, I've been Jackie.